24 of the game's most accomplished champions and emerging superstars joining together as the best of the best from the United States take on the top international players outside of Europe.
It is road to the President's Cup time, and we're down to about 105 days, which means Matt Kamienski is getting very excited, but also stressed all at the same time.
Good to see you, Matt.
How you
Good
doing?
to see you too, Mark.
Yeah.
Cameron, thanks for having me again.
We're a little bit late this morning, by the way. We were just going to go get
A search party,
guy with an American
I
accent.
got lost. I haven't been here long enough, so I just didn't know. Yeah.
Nice to have you in. Any developments we need to know about in the last week? Charles Barkley coming down.
Charles Barkley to join Michael? No big developments as of now. The Cup is actually touring Adelaide this week, so
that's
which
good.
is great. And it was in New Zealand last week, so we're taking that around to different places in lead up to the event.
That's really good of you, actually, because there's a lot of interest. I did the Victorian Golf Awards on Friday night at the MCG, and we inducted 6 Hall of Famers to the inaugural, and the President's Cup was there, and I reckon just about half the people in the room got up and had their photos taken next to the President's Cup. So it's fantastic you're taking that right around the country. I applaud you.
Thank you very much. Well, it's
Well
great
done.
because the Cup is something that people. It's iconic. It's what it is about the event, and people love to get. It's the same thing with the Melbourne Cup. Obviously, we're not on that scale, but it is when you take that thing around. People, the reaction that we receive, people get pretty excited about it. So
Now, off the top of the show, Marco, we spoke about the Canadian Open and the course being probably not in pristine condition, and we discussed that a little bit, but I can tell you right now, come President's Cup time, Royal Melbourne's going to be in the best condition in the world, and a man who is, we're trusting him to look after the course. He's doing a great
He's
job.
entrusted.
How's he doing, mate? His name's Richard Forsyth, and he is the superintendent of the course down there. How you doing, Rich?
Yeah, well, thanks, boys. Yes, good. I don't know about the just added a bit of pressure to the event from those comments.
You weren't already feeling it?
No, not at this stage, but no, look, it's all going to be good. We're all excited. So,
Richard, you've done a fair bit of work for the PGA Tour. I mean, when the Accenture World Match Play came down the Metropolitan, you were in charge there and had the best fairways in the world. I think everybody in that field came to the same conclusion. They were the absolute best. You've moved over to Royal Melbourne, and Royal Melbourne has had its troubles for people who don't live down here in Victoria. We had a drought, and Royal Melbourne wasn't looking its best. You got the job to look after the fairways, and my question right off the top, how are they going to be in November?
Well, look, the fairways will be as good as they can be. I think our focus is really on greens and surrounds. That's our primary objective at this stage. Look, the fairways, we're dealing with different grasses here. The legend cooch that we've planted is a bit coarser and leafier for a reason. We chose that sort of to minimise the roll off some of the sloping areas, stopping balls congregating in one spot and that sort of thing. So look, the fairways will be a different surface to what they would have seen at Metropolitan, certainly not as tight and fine, but I think a good surface.
Rich, do you ever rock up in the morning and just go, you know what, stuff, and I'm grabbing the clubs and playing 18?
You haven't seen me play, so there's no incentive there with my golf to do that. No, look, I think there's plenty to do, and you can't really justify the time to go and spend 4 or 5 hours and go and play, particularly at the moment. So, and if you have a day off, probably not the first thing that springs to mind to grab the clubs and go and play
That's
golf.
absolutely right. Yeah, once you get in the business of golf, you don't usually get to play all that much. But hey, Richard, I know that many listeners out there right now probably don't understand. They know that you're responsible for inside the ropes, everything that's going on with the competition. People like to ask you those questions, but from my standpoint, and something that people don't realize is how much you do outside of the ropes. And just to say thank you to you for that, because you guys are doing an unbelievable job, and I know it is an imposition on the members, but I know Royal Melbourne's going to be in great nick when it comes.
We're speaking to Richard Forsyth, the course superintendent of Royal Melbourne Golf Club, where the President's Cup will be played in November. Richard, I've got a question. I remember in my playing days when I was playing at the Royal Melbourne Composite Course in tournaments, you could actually land 2 yards short of the green and the ball had stopped dead. You landed at 6 inches on the green and it ended up at the back fringe on what I believe is Sutton's mix. How's the Sutton mix going? Because they're not bent greens anymore. It's the old Sutton mix, but doesn't look like the old Sutton mix that we remember that was patchy and beautiful to putt on. How's that tracking for November?
Yeah, look, it's one of the things I've had to adjust a bit to, because it's a different style of grass to the creeping bents that are around on sort of the majority of the courses these days. So I've had to adjust to that. if you think about, I remember those old greens as well, sort of in the early 80s, and the colonised different textures and things, and the fantastic characteristic of the course here.
Yeah, so it's the only golf course in the world that has Sutton's Mix, correct?
Well, pretty much under that sort of name and under that adapted characteristics here to Royal Melbourne, yes, it would be pretty unique. Yeah.
Magnif.
Wow.
Richard, we hear you're doing a great job. Matt tells us a little bit about all the great work you're doing, and we're looking forward to it when the President's Cup's here in November to seeing your great work on display. Thanks for joining us on the Clubhouse.
Pleasure, boys. Thank you.
Richard Forsyth, the course superintendent out there at Royal Melbourne. Just before we get into the break, boys, I just you mentioned Charles Barkley off the top of the segment.
Yes.
Have you seen him play golf?
Yes, it's the worst action ever.
It is. YouTube it out there if you've never seen YouTube Charles Barkley in golf. It is the worst.
The yips with his driver.
We do a charity Whose club are you using? Oh, that's... You gonna buy another one? I know you don't gamble no more, but we could do a charity bet. That looks nice. We add $1,000 to the charity. Whoever loses. There's $1,000 for the charity. Whoever loses on the drive. You got a bet. $400,000 charity bet. Get him, Chucky. $420,000 to the charity. No, $1,000 to your favorite charity. Are you kidding me? Do I even have to swing?
It's one thing you don't
It's
want
very
to do,
unique.
Matt.
Very unique, yeah. It's
Matt, thanks for coming in again, buddy. We appreciate
thanks
it.
for having me.
You're a star. How long to
Thanks,
go now?
Cameron.
How many days?
105.
105 days. You'd be getting the jitters, mate.
How many more grey hairs do I have now? You've seen
Plenty.
History will be made at Royal Melbourne. Don't miss your chance to be a part of it.